Welcome back to Week 6 of Robotics for All Python 6 to 8 class. Last week, we learned about for loops and break and continue. This week, we're going to talk about functions, dictionaries, and f-strings. Before we get started, please open up Replit and follow along with the video. One of the most important concepts in programming is functions. A function is a block of code that allows you to perform some action multiple times. For example, a print function. This function sends the information to the console. A function's purpose is to have a more organized and efficient program. However, in order for the function to run, you must call it. Let's start with the syntax of the function. You start with the keyword def, which means defining. Next, you will write the function name. We will be writing a function that adds two numbers. Name it addition. Then add a set of parentheses next to it. Lastly, end the function header with a colon. When you press enter, there will be an indent where the repeated block of code is placed. Start by printing two random numbers. To call a function, you have to write the function name and a set of parentheses. Now when you run it, you see the sum of the two numbers. But before we get into it, let's discuss variable scope. There are global and local variables. Global variables mean that you can use it anywhere, inside a function, outside a function, and whatever you do to the variable, the value will change. Local variables are accessible in a small portion of code. Let's use an example to really understand what those two are. So first off, we're going to create a global variable. So I'm going to name it num and assign it to a random number, 4. For a local variable, we're going to use the help of a function. So we're going to use our previous function addition, but inside the function, we're going to create a variable. We're going to call it number. We're going to assign it to a random number, so 2. And then we're going to print number plus, again, a random number, just to show, so 6. Now when we call it, we should get 8. 2 plus 6 equals 8, which we do. Okay, now let's try printing num, which is our global variable. We should get 4. Now let's try printing the number variable, which we created inside the function. It gives an error. It says that number is not defined. Because number was created inside the function, it is a local variable. Number is a variable you can only use inside the function addition, nowhere else. Inside the parentheses of the function header, we can add something called parameters, which are similar to local variables. When we call a function, we can send in different values and assign them to the parameters to the function. We'll modify the addition function by adding in two parameters. The declaration of the parameters are inside the parentheses of the function header. Let's name the parameters num1 and num2. Then, in the indented code, change the numbers to the variables. It is important to note that when we call the function, we send in the correct number of values which go to its respective parameters. The first value we send in will go to num1, not num2. We will send the numbers 2 and 4. If we run the function, the output will be the sum of the parameters. If we change the values we sent, we get a different output. Another way to receive the output of the function is by using the return keyword. Let's replace the print with return. When we run it, we will not get anything. Return essentially gives back a value from the function. So once you replace the call, we must do something with it. We can print it, we can store it into a variable and manipulate the value, we can store it into a list, and more. Let's print it. Put the call inside the print function because then the returned output will be inside the print function when the function is called. To store it into a variable, we just declare the variable and have the value be the call of the function. The next concept is a dictionary. Dictionaries in Python are similar to a real dictionary. We have a key which acts like the word and a value which acts like the definition. We use dictionaries to store data into a more organized form by having specific keys to values. In order to create a dictionary, we first assign a dictionary to a variable. Let's name it favorite colors. We start with a set of curly braces. Inside we put a key, Kelly, then a colon, and a value right after, blue. After we got a pair, then insert a comma to start a new pair. This is the final product. You can also perform various functions with the dictionary. You can receive the value by calling the key like lists. You give it an index or a key and it returns the value. You call the dictionary name and then in brackets you call the key. When calling, make sure you do something with it, like return. You can remove a pair from the dictionary by using the pop method like lists. You start with the dictionary name, then do .pop and a set of parentheses. In the parentheses, you insert the key of the pair you want to remove. You can add a pair to the dictionary by calling the dictionary and its key, and making it equal to the value of the key. Update allows you to update a value in the dictionary. If the key is not found, then it will create another pair. You start with the dictionary name, then .update with a set of parentheses. Inside the parentheses, put a set of curly braces which will include the key and the value, like so. If you want to check if a key is in the dictionary, use an if statement. Then use the in keyword. In checks if something is in or a part of something. Let's do a key that is not in the dictionary. If not in key, in dictionary name, colon, then write code if it is true, and an else statement if it is false. We can also iterate through a dictionary using a for loop. The syntax is similar to using a list with a for loop. The for loop will go through each key of the pairs in a dictionary. We will print the value of each key in the dictionary. Start with for. Next, the variable will be key. Then type in favorite colors because we are going through a dictionary. Inside the loop, we'll print the value by using the method we learned earlier. This is the output of the for loop. Next, we will discuss f-strings. In the beginning, we learned about concatenation. It is very similar to that idea. We're substituting the variables or data other than string into string. We use it because it is very easy to put different data types into a string literal. Let's create a variable of the temperature. We use f-strings in print functions. So let's print today the temperature is temp, the variable. First, we place an F to tell the computer that this is an f-string. Then, start with the quotes, which we already have. We learned that we cannot concatenate two different data types. We will then place curly brackets where we want to add the temperature. Inside the brackets, you will place the variable or the data that is not a string. If we run the code, this is the output. Today, the temperature is 43. If we replace the variable to just 1.20, for example, it will still work because 1.20 is a double and we're converting it into a string. However, if you have empty brackets, there will be an error because you're not substituting anything in. Also, you can have as many substitutions as you want, as long as there's something inside the curly brackets. That concludes the Week 6 video. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in the next class.